Hello there, welcome to the Real FX YouTube channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the family and don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell icon so that YouTube will notify you when we post another video, and stay tuned for more videos on this channel. Okay, now without any further waste of time, let's talk about fair value gaps. So fair value gaps, we mostly see them when there's price inefficiency or when there's an sort of some imbalance in the market. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw a simple illustration here. Just try to follow along. So we have the first candle, the market is pushing to the downside. Let's say the market is pushing to the downside. Second candle, and then we have our third candle. Now let me draw some wicks on these candles, because when it comes to fair value gaps, wicks are very important. You have to understand the story that is being told by the wicks. So you also have this one here, you also have this wick over here. Now when you look at this, since we're in a downward trend, the fair value gap is the gap between the low of the first candle and the high of the third candle. So if we were to mark this out, it will be like that. That is the low of the first candle, and here we can have the high of the first candle. So this gap here is our imbalance. So that's our imbalance. That gap over there is our imbalance, and we tend to name this as what? We tend to name this gap as the fair value gap. And the same thing happens when we are in an uptrend. So when we are in an uptrend, it's like this. The first candle will be here. Let me just change the color to blue. That's the first candle. And then we're gonna have the second candle, and then we're gonna have the third candle. And then we're gonna have the wicks of those candles. You're gonna have the wicks of those candles. You have to remember these things, guys. They can be very helpful when you're trading. So when we're in an uptrend like this, where is the fair value gap? The fair value gap, or the imbalance, is between the high of the first candle and the low of the third candle. So as you can see, where is our fair value gap? Here is our fair value gap. This part here is our fair value gap. This part here is our fair value gap. That there, guys, would be our fair value gap. Now how do people use this fair value gap? So most people would use this fair value gap as a trading point. So the market will be pushing to the upside, going up like that, and then they will wait for the market to return to the fair value gap, and then when they have their confirmation, they would then use the fair value gap as an entry point and then push to the upside. So that is how they use the fair value gap. Let's go through this chart and try to find fair value gaps that we can easily spot. The first one is here. This is the low and the high, and there's a gap between the low of this candle, and there's a gap between the high and the high of this candle. So here is our fair value gap. Here would be, we have that gap here, and then we also here the high. We're pushing to the upside. As you can see, we have the high here of this candle and the low of that candle there, and then here would be our imbalance, or our fair value gap. As you can see here, we also have, this is the third candle, this is the first candle. So the first candle starts here, and then there's a gap between the first candle and the third candle. So that here, this here would be our FVG, or our fair value gap. So here's another one. Here's a fair value gap. So you can always find these fair value gaps in the market, but that doesn't mean you trade off every fair value gap. You need a strategy. You have to form a strategy using these fair value gaps. Like you can try to look for market structure, liquidity, inducement, all those kind of things, BOS, change of character, and then use fair value gaps as a way of trading. As you can see here, we have another fair value gap. We have another fair value gap here. We have a fair value gap here. We have another fair value gap. Yeah, there are many examples, guys. There are many examples of fair value gap. There are many examples. So if you do find time, go through your charts and try to spot all of these things, guys. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up.